The Chronite War, a steampunk and avatar epic. The city of New Avalon was a bustling metropolis, filled with towering steam-powered machines and airships that drifted through the skies. The streets were crowded with people of all shapes and sizes, all rushing to get to their destinations. But despite the hustle and bustle of the city, there was an underlying sense of danger lurking in the shadows. The city was divided into two distinct factions, the steampunks, who relied on advanced technology to survive, and the avatars, who were able to harness the power of the elements to their will. Tensions between the two groups had been brewing for years, and it seemed that a full-blown war was just around the corner. But no one could have predicted what would happen next. One day, a group of steampunks discovered a mysterious substance that had the ability to grant incredible powers to those who ingested it. They called it Chronite, and they quickly began using it to create an army of superpowered soldiers. The avatars, realizing the danger that the Chronite posed, knew that they had to act fast. They gathered their most powerful warriors and launched a surprise attack on the steampunk's secret laboratory. The battle was intense, with blasts of fire and lightning flying through the air. But in the end, the avatars emerged victorious, destroying the laboratory and confiscating all of the remaining Chronite. But the steampunks did not give up easily. They began scheming and plotting, determined to get their hands on the Chronite and use it to crush their enemies. And so the cycle of violence and conflict continued, with no end in sight. As the two sides clashed, the city of New Avalon was caught in the crossfire. The once vibrant metropolis was reduced to rubble, and its citizens lived in constant fear of being caught in the middle of the next battle. But amidst the chaos and destruction, a small group of rebels emerged. They were determined to put an end to the fighting and find a way to bring peace to the city. They called themselves the Chronite Resistance, and they worked tirelessly to gather information and plan their next move. And as the conflict raged on, they knew that it was only a matter of time before they would have to take a stand and fight for the future of New Avalon. As the Chronite Resistance gathered intelligence and prepared for their next move, they knew that they would have to be careful. The steampunks were ruthless and would stop at nothing to get their hands on the Chronite, and the avatars were becoming more and more paranoid and unpredictable as the war dragged on. The Resistance knew that they had to strike fast and strike hard if they were going to have any chance of success. They decided to launch a surprise attack on the steampunks' main base of operations, hoping to catch them off guard and put an end to the fighting once and for all. The attack began at dawn, with the Resistance's best warriors leading the charge. They fought bravely, using their elemental powers to devastating effect. But the steampunks were well prepared, and the battle was intense and brutal. As the fighting raged on, the Resistance began to lose ground. It seemed that their plan was failing and that they would be overwhelmed by the steampunks' superior numbers. But just when all hope seemed lost, a young avatar named Kira appeared on the battlefield. She was a prodigy, with the ability to control all four elements at once. And with her help, the Resistance was able to turn the tide of the battle and drive the steampunks back. In the end, the Chronite Resistance emerged victorious, and the war finally came to an end. The city of New Avalon was able to rebuild, and peace was restored to the land. But the memory of the Chronite War lived on, and the bravery and sacrifice of the Resistance were remembered and celebrated by all. And as the city flourished once again, no one could have guessed that a new threat was already lurking on the horizon, waiting to strike. After the Chronite War came to an end, the city of New Avalon began the long process of rebuilding and healing. The people were grateful to the Chronite Resistance for bringing peace to their land, and the group was hailed as heroes. But even as the city began to thrive once again, a new threat loomed on the horizon. A group of powerful steampunks, fueled by their hatred of the avatars, began to plot their revenge. They were determined to reclaim the Chronite and use it to crush their enemies once and for all. The avatars, sensing the danger, knew that they had to act fast. They gathered their most powerful warriors and began preparing for the inevitable conflict. The steampunks struck first, launching a surprise attack on the avatars' main base of operations. The battle was fierce, with blasts of fire and lightning flying through the air. But the avatars were ready, and they fought with all their might. In the end, the steampunks were defeated, and the city of New Avalon was once again at peace. But the avatars knew that this was only a temporary victory and that they would have to remain vigilant in order to protect their home. And so, the cycle of violence and conflict continued, as the two sides fought for control of the powerful substance known as Chronite. The city of New Avalon was caught in the crossfire, and its citizens lived in constant fear of being caught in the middle of the next battle. But despite the dangers that surrounded them, the people of New Avalon remained strong and united. They knew that they had to stand together if they were going to survive in this dangerous world.